What's going on, everybody? The Obsession Podcast coming back at you. I'm Mike Stadler.
I'm Carl Bethke.
Carl's having technical difficulties with his phone. So, Carl.
Yeah, Mike.
It is now October.
Yes, sir.
It's the, the second week.
Second week of
October. The lull.
The lull. Yeah, it's all good. We're all gonna. I'm never gonna shoot anything. The deer are all gone. It's the lull.
So anyway, this is the podcast about the October lull. If you're watching, we're air quoting that. So a lot of people kind of say this is a time of year when nothing's moving, doesn't pay to be in the woods.
Yeah,
can't kill no big bucks. Everything is just not happening.
Yeah. Well, Wisconsin was so smart. They decided they'd put the youth season over this weekend.
Yeah.
Okay,
which doesn't help. We're not fans of
gun
of
season
when they put that of where they put that. So we're not going to get into people yelling at us about that again. It's just we just want you to move it somewhere else.
Right.
But because
it'd be more productive earlier anyway.
One of the biggest times and why we think the deer activity slows down is the pressure.
Yes.
People are out hunting, pounding the hell out of everything from, second week of September, and now you're into the second week of October. So this is one of the reasons I feel that this kind of happens at some places.
In some places, yeah.
In some places. You could call it lull. It's because of your pressure.
100% pressure. There's that. No, and it's true. I think it's more pressure than it is the other aspect of what I'm going to say, too. We do know that deer are transitioning food sources.
Yep.
So that's a given. It's not because there's a million acorns laying on the ground.
Yep.
I will say that, just so you're aware. And people argue that with us. But, a year like this, there's going to be acorns laying on the ground all the way through November. There's so many acorns.
Yeah, and what you're saying, though, when we're talking about the lull, is your food sources, like you're saying, is 100% true.
Yeah.
And I think, and I'm sure you agree with me, that most people don't know how to hunt their food sources.
No, that's true.
Because it changes.
Yeah.
So that's why if you're hunting this set food plot that you always hunt, and now you're not seeing deer on it, it's not because there's not deer.
No.
It's because they've moved to eat something else now.
100%.
Weird.
And the other aspect of that is what they're eating is actually closer to their bedding. So that's why people always complain, I'm not getting pictures on my cameras. Well, your cameras are on your food plots, or your cameras. If you have cameras on mock scrapes and water holes, I will say this, if your cameras are on your mock scrapes and your water holes, your consistency of pictures should never change.
Yep. If
they're positioned correctly. Okay? That being said, if you've got green food plots this time of year, and all of a sudden you're not getting as many deer on that particular plot, one or two things has happened. Number one, majority of the people listening hunt their food plots too hard, or they even hunt their food plots because they see one deer coming out there and like, I'm going to get him, and you go in there 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, you're in and out of it too much.
Right.
Too much.
Also, at this time, they're transitioning food like Mike was talking about, and the food transition is closer to bedding. So if you don't have cameras closer to bedding, which is where your mocks and your water holes should be, you're not going to get the pictures of the deer that you were consistently getting before during daylight hours. They'll still come to the destination fields, but usually it gets dark. I mean, we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
We're like, I got about 10 days, 8 days to 10 days. And the bigger deer are going to be right on the edge of light.
Yeah, they're going to be dark, more than anything.
So, that's the falsehood of the myth of the October lull. Yep. It's more due to pressure and more due to food change than anything else. Now, can you hunt this time, Svan?
Oh, yeah.
100%.
That's another thing I was going to touch on for the lull. You really got to pick your sits.
Yes, 100%.
You can't be out every day or every morning or every night or whatever. You got to, do some research. Like we talked about with the first couple of points, have you been overpressuring areas?
Yeah.
If they're not on this food, what food are they at? It's not hard to do if you're really up on your stuff.
Right.
If your cameras are right, like Carl said. There's always a transition area because they're probably still bedding in close to the same places. So now, or they're real close to food or on the food, like Carl said. So find a spot where you can get in and hunt those deer.
Yeah.
And like I said, pick your spot.
Yeah.
You know, pick a stand, pick your spot where your wind is right, where you're going to catch them, you know, traveling either morning or evening, whichever that works out to be.
Yeah, right now, honestly, you guys, we're not big advocates of morning hunting. We do not hunt mornings too much until October 20th or later.
Late October.
And there's multiple reasons for that, but mostly it is you can't get back to their bedding area or close to their bedding area before they do. Yep. You're taking a real risk trying to get there. And I don't care if you've got the wind in your direction properly or not, you're probably going to bump deer going in there. And that's why we don't hunt the mornings early so much on bedding areas, for sure. I think it's been a couple of years since we really morning hunted anyway, fairly early.
Yeah, I don't remember even last year morning hunting hardly at all until we took vacation. And then obviously we're hunting every morning somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and then we're talking late October.
For that 14, 15 days, we're going to be in a morning stand somewhere.
Yeah, 100%.
But now that's totally different. We'll get in that one.
Yeah, we'll get into that one here in the next week or two. But, yeah, right now, October lull, everybody's going to be saying, oh, my God, you know, the deer aren't doing this, the deer aren't doing that, what am I going to do? Well, don't worry. They'll return to their normal patterns as long as you don't educate them. This time of year, again, like we spoke in a couple other podcasts, you know, and like Mike touched on a little bit, he's like, you got to make sure, you know, that you're not over-educating your deer and pick your hunts. You know, move on the cold fronts, move on the weather fronts. Don't just, and I know some people can't get off of work, they have to hunt the weekends or whatever, I get that. All right, and we used to do that. I mean, we're constantly in the woods. But the older we've gotten, the more time we spent doing this, which is over 30 years for each of us, we've found out that you're far more productive to pick the right days to hunt. Even if you're hunting less, you'll be more productive in the end. Less is more.
Less is more again.
Less is more again.
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, if you're thinking about it and you're thinking about not hunting some of this time of year, think about just the three things, like we could go into some more, but the three main things that we touched on, and think about that, and then think about where you should be hunting. You can be successful this time of year, trust me. Yep. We've harvested a ton of bucks this time of year.
Yes.
Obviously, everybody loves when it gets later in the rut time and they're running, but they're there the whole time before that too. Yeah. So they got to be somewhere. Yep. You just have to educate yourself on where they are and how you're hunting whatever property you're hunting. Correct. Yeah, never pass a good opportunity or pass a good cold front or pressure change. I'll tell you that. No. That's a number one killer of deer. I don't know whether or not most people realize it or not, but that's the best way to take a good whitetail this time of year is hunt them cold fronts. So I think that's pretty much a layout about the lull. Yeah. I mean, I can't really think of too much more. The lull, the falsehood of the lull. We appreciate each and every one of you guys listening. We're going to just go shut her down there because I think that's about everything we need to go with. Yeah. If you guys want to listen to the podcast, check us out at Spotify, Amazon, Google, iHeart, Apple, RSS.com. And check our pretty faces out right here on YouTube. Yeah, buddy.